think it actually causes more resistance whenever it's locked in and I'm trying to screw it in. So if I just push it in. However, let's see. Yeah, it's still pretty centered. Alright, so we'll move on to the next part. Alright, so I cut a piece of 5/16 tubing right here. You can see that it's been inserted in here a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all this back so that 3/8 will support the 5/16. 5/16 can't be mounted in this chuck. It's too big. I can only do down to about 3/8 of an inch. So that's why I'm going to use the 3/8 inch support there. Tighten her up. I'm going to go ahead and deburr this. Now I want to go with that 26 thousandths capillary tubing. So it's about 72 thousandths nominal. So I'm going to use this. I don't have a rod that's long enough I can support on both ends like the 1/8 inch. So I'm going to use a drill bit, and I'm going to support it with a chuck. Now that chuck needs to be spinning. But of course it's not going to be spinning with the lathe, so I'm going to have to go ahead and mount this drill bit in backwards so that I have that 70 thousandths sticking out, and then spin the copper down until it meets that. It's a little tricky because this isn't going to be moving, so once I get it spun down far enough, it's going to start to spin this chuck here, and there's going to be a little bit of a shear force there. In the past, with larger diameter mandrels or forms like this, if there's a lot of stress back here already, it can shear the copper and it'll bust off, and the piece is probably junk at that point. So, but I did this yesterday and it seemed to work pretty well, although it's kind of difficult to spin down to this diameter. So I'm going to carefully try to mount this tiny little bit in here. I'm even going to put a little bit of wax on it. Going to dirty up the inside, but create a little bit of lubrication until it gets down far enough. Now I'm probably going to have a little bit of elongation or something, so I want to give myself a little bit of room to the teeth or the jaws of the drill chuck here. You can see this drill chuck here. I have it's designed that you could just have solid mounted in there, but I have a bearing little adapter there, so it'll spin there. So I also have something similar for a really cheap 4-jaw chuck that I did some work with. It's kind of well, I've had some success with it, but as I said before, working with both ends there is really difficult. I need some way that the piece could actually slide, but anyway, that's not important right now. So I'm going to go ahead and anneal this a little bit. Might as well line up our tool rest. Come on, baby. Lube. A little too much lube. Clean off our tool a little bit. A lot of gunk on there. smaller tool that's better made, considering the size of the work that I'm doing. I'm getting a lot of copper impregnation on my steel rod. It's kind of a snowball effect. I don't think I ever properly hardened this thing after I first made it. Probably somebody out there that knows what they're doing and looking at this and laughing. I'm actually going to put a little bit of soap on my tool because I was having moderate success with that.